Joy 99.7 FM. This is Top Story tonight.
Can you explain what you meant by this IGP is not correct?
Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again, that the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground, and find out from them.
Key police chief heard in leaked audio plotting to remove the IGP refuses to go down without a fight as he takes on his boss, Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, for what he says is his mismanagement of the Ghana Police Service.
Are you a politician?
Yes, of course, I am. There's nobody here who is not a politician.
As a serving police officer?
I am on leave pending retirement.
Is there bad blood between yourself and the IGP?
The chairman, as I sit here, I don't have any bad blood. I speak my mind, whether you like it or not. You can decide to hate me for that. That is your matter.
COP George Mensah insists Bugri Nabu only spewed lies when he appeared before the committee.
The chairman, Chief Bugri Nabu came to this committee, told a lot of lies, including lying that he spoke to a certain superintendent whom he has never spoken to.
We have details of the committee's hearing as they consider offering him an in-camera hearing for more revelations. You want to stay on Top Story for details. Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Vodafone. Now, this evening, Commissioner of Police Alexander Mensah, who is at the center of the alleged plot to remove IGP Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, has confirmed his voice in the leak tape. According to him, he has met prime witness in the case, Chief Daniel Bugri Nabu, for 4 times to discuss several private conversations which he would not divulge publicly. COP Alexander Mensah has also taken on the IGP Dr. George Akuffo Dampare for mismanaging the Ghana Police Service. He says most officers are currently disgruntled and charged the ad hoc committee to do further investigations on this matter. He has, however, indicated to the Parliament's committee probing the case that portions of the tape has been doctored.
I can't accept everything in the conversation.
See, in true candor and Nkansah, I want you to pay attention to this. See, when you say that a voice represents your voice, what do you mean? Is it your voice or is it not your voice? The flow of the conversation is that Chief Bugri Nabu speaks and you also speak. And there's a flow like that. Do you deny this flow of the conversation?
Chairman, I will not deny the flow that when he speaks, I also speak. I will not deny the flow.
You see, would you also admit that nobody in this flow is attempting to improvise your voice?
Mr. Chairman, I said it here and I'm going to repeat it. I said this tape is an edited version.
I agree. Fine. That is your position. That this is not a full, tape. It's a tape which has been edited by your perspective. Nevertheless, in the unedited flow of conversation, is your voice improvised? Is it somebody trying to fake your voice?
Honorable Chair, what I want to say is that because the audio which I've just listened is an edited one, there's a likelihood that somebody can fake my voice. But I can't confirm because I don't have that technical thing to confirm it.
Is there any flow of conversation on this tape that you, in true humility, will say that nobody is faking my voice? Or it is the entire tape that you want to say that somebody is trying to, fake your voice?
The chairman, not the entire.
Commissioner, which part of the audio do you admit is not faked?
Honorable Chairman, this is a very broad question that I will not be able to answer. If he has any specific question on the specific side of the audio, please, I'm ready to answer.
I'll come to that. But before I even get there, let's establish certain truths about your work. You're Commissioner of Police. What is your designation in terms of responsibility?
Mr. Chairman, for now, I am on terminal leave pending retirement. I don't have any designation.
Prior to that, what was your designation by way of responsibility?
I was the Director General in charge technical.
COP Mensah, Chief Bugri appeared before this committee in person and made statements, emphatic statements about you. I'm talking about the statements he made before this committee, not those on the audio. Honorable Agaga posed this question to him. Chief, I want to get something clear. This audio that was played a while ago, who was the one on the audio who spoke to you throughout, aside the phone calls you received? Was it Commissioner Mensah or Asare? And Chief Nabu answered, Commissioner Mensah and then Commander Asare. They were doing most of the talking. This is what Chief Nabu said before this committee. And then listen to this as well. He says, I decided that I need to get the information properly. And the proper way was to look for a tape. To tape all that we had been discussing so that I will know where to send it. So that when I send it to the president or anybody, they cannot deny, or neither will somebody think that I am concocting stories. We chiefs do not like to lie. If I tell a lie, I will die. The truth of the story is that the tape is correct. The voices on it. I was there and they came to me. What do you say to this?
Honorable Chair, that is the statement from Bugre Nabu, and that is his statement. In that statement, he also mentioned that somebody called Superintendent JB called him and he said he was going to meet him at Afikiko to go and see the president. We all hear when Superintendent JB denied that he never spoke to Bugre Nabu. Bugre Nabu came here to lie.
Commissioner, your junior colleague is in uniform, Superintendent Asare. Why are you not uniformed? What is the reason? Because you are a serving officer.
Honorable, my former deputy minister, as I said, I am leave pending retirement. I've been on leave for 3.5 months. As I speak, I don't do any police work. I don't wear police uniform. I don't go to police office. I'm in my house.
So you've surrendered your accoutrement to the state. Is that what you're saying?
I am supposed to surrender it on the 16th of September.
Very well. Now let me take you back to the substantive issue. Captured in the audio, these are some of your own statements. Now you said, because I wouldn't want Doctor to become the flag bearer and then we lose the elections, then it goes on, gave you the position, break the 8. Meanwhile, this IGP is not correct. Alhaji, You dear, you have done politics. You know elections is not just, sometimes elections, mafia work is inside Alaji. No, not at some time. As for that one, then you said, I am just saying. Then Alaji comes in. Mafia work is inside, not on some time. It is not some time, it is. Then you said, yes. And this man sitting up there will not help our party to do anything. This is captured in the audio. Do you agree to the fact that these statements attributed to you are captured in the audio which was played to your hearing, Commissioner?
Yes, I made it.
I made it, yes. Yes. Now, Commissioner, I want you to be candid with this committee. Like I said, we are not prosecuting you. So when you give indication in the audio that as for elections, it is about mafia work, can you tell us what you meant by that?
Honorable, I never said election is about mafia work. I said in elections, there's always some mafia work. I never said election is mafia work.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? During elections, if you don't provide the needed security for people to come out and vote peacefully, and you allow people to come and disturb, to come and snatch boxes at your strongholds, then you are ending in opposition. That is what I meant.
Very well, Commissioner. Now, in that same statement, you indicated that meanwhile, this IGP is not correct. Commissioner, can you explain what you meant by this IGP is not correct? What has he done?
Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again. That the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground, and find out from them.
Within the context of your statement, it had to do with elections. So let's do some quick analysis of his conduct relative to elections. Has he evinced some level of unprofessionalism when it comes to the policing of elections, to the best of your knowledge? Because you spoke within the context of the conduct of elections.
Honorable Chair, my concern was and is that as we speak, majority of police officers are not happy. And if these same people are those who are going to police the elections, and remember, police officers, they vote, their wives vote, their children vote, their mothers and fathers vote. That is my concern.
And so you were unhappy that with the posturing of this IGP, your party will lose elections. Is that correct? That the statement made? Yes. Our party, is that correct? To lose elections, we are unhappy because IGP's posturing wouldn't inure to the benefit of your party because it's quote and unquote just and fair.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, at that time we were talking about politics. And I was talking to a political figure.
Are you a politician?
Yes, of course, I am. There's nobody here who is not a politician.
As a serving police officer?
I am on leave pending retirement.
Is there bad blood between yourself and the IGP, your current boss?
The chairman, as I sit here, I don't have any bad blood. But what I do is I speak my mind, whether you like it or not. If you're my boss and you do what I don't like, I'll tell you. You can decide to hate me for that. That is your matter. But I don't have any bad blood.
So your answer is that there are several professional disagreements. That's what we are saying. There are never personal issues, but professional disagreements.
That is correct.
Okay.
So, Chairman, let me go to the last point. That you were in the reckoning to be IGP, and that a report was purported to have been sent to the president, which included your name from the conversation, and that the secretary to the president, Nana Beduito Asante, did not provide that information to the president. Was that a subject matter of discussion between your good self and Chief Bugrinam?
Mr. Chairman, that is one of the portions of the audio that I don't trust. Because I know we discussed about the report by bringing the name of Nana Beduito in. I still cannot remember.
So you heard there the interaction between COP Alex Mensah and the ad hoc committee put together to probe that leaked audio purporting to remove current IGP Dr. George Ekufu Dampare. Let me head onto the phone lines and also on Zoom. Thankfully, Professor Kwesi Ening has joined us via Zoom. We also have former CID boss, DCOP Bright Odro, joining us via phone. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here on Top Story. I'll start with you, Professor Kwesi Ening, if you're on mute. Really, what sense do you get from listening to COP Alexander Mensah before the committee today? Is it that of a man who is not ready to go down without a fight, or a man who actually means well for the police service?
Well, I think the abiding sense that one gets is that this is an individual who has coveted the position of the Inspector General of Police, thought that his party has come to power, and by extension, he should be or ought to have been promoted to the position of the Inspector General of Police. Furthermore, by alluding to mafia work as almost a routine aspect of election security work, and that his party would not be held, and then broadening it to sow seeds of disaffection against the sitting IGP by claiming that personnel don't like him. It's problematic, very problematic. But even more problematic is for such a senior officer who knows the complaint channels within the police service not to have used it and to have used political channels. And that demonstrates in no uncertain terms from where I sit that first, he doesn't mean well for the service. Secondly, he has translated his personal antagonisms towards the sitting IGP and wants to go down with him, and failing that, undermining the service that he has served for so long.
Well,
So it's a very unfortunate.
he raises a number of issues. I'll come back to you on issues about election organization, really, in the country. Also, concerns about management of the police service under Dr. George Kofi Dampare. He talks about mismanagement and the fact that many officers, as we speak, are disgruntled. And also, his involvement in politics is one of the things that I'll come back to you on, Professor. But let me bring you in, DCOP retired, Bright Odro. Grateful for your time here on Top Story. So, you have been a man in uniform and listening to COP Alexander Mensah today before the committee, well, the concern about the management of the police under IGP Dampare, are you surprised at the revelations that were made today?
Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm surprised or I'm not surprised, but here you find an officer together with two others having some conversation with top political activists, where I think they voiced out their disappointment in the IGP. They might have touched on the fact that if the IGP is not removed, they were not going to, the party or his party was not going to break the eight. That is one aspect of the conversation that they had. Mm-hmm. I think they also talked about several other things bordering on the IGP's management of the police service, which they said they were disappointed. That is how I see they were being disappointed. And that they would love that investigation be instituted into how the IGP is managing the police affairs. We outside, I mean, those of us who have retired, who have had careers in the police service, also have conversations with some of the police officers. And I think some officers have expressed misgivings as well about how the IGP is conducting himself in terms of managing the police service. So, for me, we shouldn't brush aside or we shouldn't throw to the wind the accusations or allegations that have been made against the IGP. There should be further proof. That is how I see it. There should be further proof, because if we investigate and we find out that the IGP is doing what exactly is mandated to do, fine. If, on the other hand, we find out that he is not managing the police well, as the officer or the officers were saying, better, then we find ways of rectifying whatever problems there are.
But you have your ears and eyes on the ground, even though you are no longer in the service. Do you get the sense that there is a deep-seated level of mismanagement and people being disgruntled in the police force, knowing that this man is retiring on the 16th of September, and his posturing really and the comment he makes raises a lot of concerns, doesn't it?
I think I said earlier that I have spoken to some officers who also expressed misgivings about the way the service is being handled. I've spoken to some officers. And so I think that one has been answered already. For me, as I said, don't brush whatever allegations or accusations they are making against the IGP aside. Let's look into it. Officers are there. I think there are quite a number of senior officers who seem not to be happy, the way I see it, who also seem not to be happy with the way the matters are being handled in the police service.
Could it also not be the case that people are just used to the ordinary way of doing things, for which reason they are not ready for change, which this IGP is bringing on board, for which reason we are seeing this kind of agitations and allegations of mismanagement against him?
That is why I'm saying that let us look into whatever allegations they have leveled against him. Let us look into them, and then we see. You know, police, we have several regulations. We have police service instructions. We have CI 76. We have other statutes that guide the operation and administration of the police service. And if we look into the allegations that have been made, we'll be in a position to find out whether these statutes, these regulations are being followed.
But listening to some of the things that are coming up at this point, there are concerns about morale in the service. Does it have the tendency to drive down morale or even bring it up, depending on where you stand? What does it do to morale in the service?
If the officers feel that, or if there is deep division in the service, and some officers feel that their concerns are not being met. If some other officers are favored as against others, of course, the morale will be down, especially for the officers who feel that their concerns are not being met. And so, like I said, why won't we look into these things? Because it's for the better of the police service and for the better of Ghana as a whole.
If we say we should look into it, who should lead this? How would you like it done?
Now we have a committee from Parliament that is looking into the tape matter. A committee can be set up by the president. A committee or an inquiry can be set up to look into the concerns that have been. There are several officers that can be talked to. So if we have an inquiry, we have a committee to sit and look into what is actually happening in the police. I'm saying that we shouldn't bribe these things aside. Because the officer, Mr. Mensah, COP Mensah mentioned that these officers have wives, they have children, they have friends, they have mothers and all that. And if they think that, or if these officers think that they are not being handled well, of course, you know the ultimate. They will think that it is government that has brought this IGP who is not living up to expectations as they want. And so they may be inclined to vote in a certain direction. Okay. That was the officers, I think, one of the concerns that he raised as well. They may be compared, even though he didn't mention vote, but that is how I deduce from what he said. So we have wives, we have children, we have that. And it's government that brought this man, this IGP, and then he's not living up to the expectations that he wants. And so let us vote in a certain direction so that we will have somebody who will give us the IGP we want.
This COP Bright Odro, you can finish on that.
Yeah, so as I was saying, it's better. It's for our own good. Let's not brush anything under the carpet. Let's look into whatever allegations that they have brought up against them. We are looking into the aspect where they said breaking the 8 if we don't remove him. That is one aspect. What about the other things that they have said about him? One other thing that I heard was relationship between the police and, of course, the military. Mm-hmm. Would we want to look into that as well? Or if somebody is making an allegation, somebody wants to pursue a personal vendetta, and so we will not look into that? I don't think so.
Okay. We are grateful for your time. That's DCOP retired Bright Odro, was a former CID boss, joining us on what he heard today at the ad hoc committee sitting when COP Alexander Mensah appeared before the committee. On Zoom is also Professor Kwesi. Well, so I was asking you about the other issues that came up. I'm sure you've been hearing from DCOP retired Bright Odro also. So the key issue also is about the mismanagement of the police service under the IGP. You have your eyes and ears on the ground. For DCOP Bright Odro, we shouldn't brush these issues under the carpet. But really, should we also be setting up committees based on hearsay and some of the things that has come up today?
Look, we need to take these issues seriously. When Mr. Odro says he's neither surprised nor not surprised, that is a very spurious way of beginning an argument and speaking to something so serious. That's number one. Number two, when people claim they have wives and children and mothers and brothers, the point is, and so what? You are a senior officer. You've served at least for 30 years. You know there's a police council. You know there's a police appointments and promotions advisory board. You know there's a police management board. And you don't take your concerns to them. And you take it to a politician because you think your political party might lose office because an officer is honest and is working hard. I've always made this point. On the day that Dr. Dan Parry was appointed, he had enemies 50 foot long because he has a track record in the service. I train a lot of police officers on an annual basis. Do I hear criticisms of the IGP? Yes. Do I hear praise of him? Yes. So, fine. The relationship between the Ghana Police Service and the military, the Ghana Armed Forces, is not different from the relationship between the Ghana Police Service and immigration and customs there are occasional tense periods. So I'm very disappointed in Mr. Odro. He knows from where he retired from that these tensions do exist, that we have ways of resolving them peacefully, that internal frustrations also do come out in different ways, and that the service itself has structures and procedures and processes for listening and resolving, probably not 100% effective. Okay, so there are channels that these complaints ought to have been channeled through. So let's not belittle the efforts and the institutions that we have built.
You disagree that we should look into some of the allegations that were made today, or we should just brush it aside? For him, it shouldn't be brushed aside. At least we should take a look.
I say they are spurious. When a man begins by answering a question that I am not surprised or surprised, you can't trust what the man says, because he doesn't have a standpoint and he's not willing to stick his neck out.
Professor Kwesi, we are grateful for your time. He's a security analyst joining us via Zoom. We are grateful for your time also, DCOP retired Bright Odro, and we'll get into more of the revelations that came up today at the ad hoc committee shortly on Newsnight. This is Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Make I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you don't use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now you be high tech, so you don't use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back into your Vodafone cash account. Who reload here? But then you enter. Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana cedi or more in Vodafone's demo promotion and receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
Go for gold and bet risk-free on the new season with Betway. Use the golden booking code found on the Betway site to bet on selected match weeks from 11th August to 3rd September and get 100% back as a free bet on any losses. You always get more with Betway. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Bet your way.
In Accra, we are live on Joy 99.7 FM. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM. This is Newsnight, and tonight's special prosecutor files of claims that it acted on public sentiment and without legal backing, as it describes the computation of the time limitation based on which an Accra High Court declined its freezing and seizure orders as erroneous. We have details as the office issues a statement responding to that High Court order today. Also later.
What you meant by this IGP is not correct.
Honorable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day.
We'll delve deeper into this ad hoc committee sitting today as key police chief heard in that leaked audio plotting to remove the IGP. It takes on his boss, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, for what he says is his mismanagement of the Ghana Police Service. We have details as the committee considers offering him an in-camera hearing for more revelations tomorrow. Eastern Regional Security Council bans open display and use of firearms in Nsalem Aduejiri as it opens full-scale investigations into last Tuesday's chieftaincy clashes that claimed at least 4 lives.
Where we want each and every person to be aware that going forward, when we find any of such things on you, you will be arrested. We are not relaxing any of the rules within the jurisdiction. We want all to respect the rules of the state.
We'll also get the very latest on the Hohoi situation where the MP is accusing the police of vandalism of property and assault of residents.
The chief of Godon's vehicle have been vandalized by the police. Over 50 motorbikes have been burned by the police.
In business, government set September 4th as the settlement date for the second round of the domestic debt exchange bonds.
And in sports, Ghana's Thomas Partey and Salis Abdul Samad will square off in the UEFA Champions League group stages after their clubs were drawn in Group D.
And the United Nations, African Union and ECOWAS all expressed serious concerns about the military takeover in Gabon, calling for a return to constitutional rule.
because our multilateral institutions have failed in their primary responsibility of ensuring that sovereignty is responsible.
He notes with deep concern the announcement of the election results amid reports of serious infringements of fundamental freedoms.
We have details of that and more here on Newsnight. You want to join us with your thoughts and comments? It's via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook. We are on myjoyonline.com. Do leave your comments there. I am MFA Apao. Please do stay on for details. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We're on a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. So our very first story tonight, and I'm sure you've heard by now that the High Court has ordered the special prosecutor to return the property it seized from the matrimonial home of Madame Cecilia Dapateher within 7 days. Well, the special prosecutor has been fighting back. There's a statement from him fighting off claims that it acted on public sentiments and without legal backing, as it describes the computation of time limitation based on which that Accra High Court ruling came or declined its freezing and seizure orders as erroneous. But we know that the court also declined the application of the special prosecutor to freeze the 2 accounts of the former minister. Delivering its ruling on the application for confirmation of seizure and freezing of the account of the former minister, the court, presided by Justice Edward Chum, said the OSP acted based on mere speculation I've been telling you about in its investigation and breached its own laws in the process. Richard Kojonyako is on our legal desk. He was in court for us. He joins me in studio with more details. First, Richard, on what basis did the OSP invoke the jurisdiction of the court in this matter?
So, MFA, first of all, the OSP went in search of Madame Cecilia Dapa's house and discovered $590,000 and again discovered 2.7 million Ghana cedis, and the OSP suspected that these property they found in Madame Cecilia Dapa's house were tainted property. Again, they also went to the bank, 2 banks they mentioned in court, Societe Generale and Prudential Bank, and then based on that, because when the OSP issues it freezing and then seizure order, they need to go to court for confirmation. And so based on that, the OSP went to court. And they feel that Madame Cecilia Dapa's property were tainted property.
Okay. Well, so how did Madame Cecilia Dapa's lawyers react to this application that was before the court, you'd say?
They said that the OSP has breached its own law. The OSP should have gone to court within the stipulated 7-day period, the act that established it, Professor. So based on that, they feel that the court should not give its blessing to what the application of the OSP. And so that is what they are saying. But they made a point that the property that Madame Cecilia Dapa has acquired, they were acquired way before she came into public office.
Okay, now I'm curious about the court order today to the OSP. Tell us, what did the court consider exactly before this ruling and the consequential orders that we're giving?
So there were 4 strands, and so 4 issues were set out for determination. The first one was capacity, and so the court ruled that the objection by Madame Cecilia Dapa that the person who authorized the affidavit was not properly placed, was far-fetched, and was the court will not give it blessing to that. The second one was the confirmation of the seizure of the property, and the court felt that the OSP only acted based on public speculation and without due regard to law, and so for that matter, the OSP's application was thrown out. The third one was about the confirmation of the freezing orders, and then the OSP said that there is an ongoing investigation by the OSP, and that investigation is yet to produce an outcome, and so they cannot come to the court for the court to freeze the account. But the court also indicated that when the OSP seizes the assets of someone or comes to the court for the court to confirm the freezing order, it should come within the stipulated 7-day period within which the court should confirm. And so based on that, the OSP did not do that.
Okay. Well, I'm sure this issue about the implications on the investigations of the OSP going forward has come up. Really, let's talk about it.
So this is a ruling within the entire investigation that the OSP is conducting. And so this is a ruling and the case is still ongoing. So the OSP has the right to appeal the decision of the High Court. And indeed, that is why the OSP has released the statement.
Okay, well, so let's take a look at that statement from the Office of the Special Prosecutor fighting off some of the claims that were made in court today. What does it say?
So the MFR, the Office of the Special Prosecutor commenced investigation in the 3rd week of July 2023 in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offences regarding large amounts of money with other valuable items involving Ms. Cecilia Dapa, a former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources. The second paragraph states that on the 31st of August 2023, that is today, the High Court, Accra, refused to grant the application of the seizure and freezing orders on the grounds that the confirmation of seizure application was filed out of time, that the OSP did not provide any basis for the seizure and the freezing since it did not disclose the details of the transaction in the account, and further that the freezing order was based on public sentiment and without proper investigations. Now, while the OSP suspects the court's decision, it disagrees with the decision of the court. First, the OSP believes that the court's computation of the time limitation is with due respect, erroneous. The OSP said 3 private residences associated with Ms. Dapa over the course of 2 weeks. The searches and discovery were ongoing during that period. There is little doubt that the OSP filed its application within the statutory window once the search and discovery window is considered. Second, the seizure by the OSP and the Special Prosecutor's freezing order were effectuated on the very firm basis of reasonable suspicion that the amounts and bank balances were tainted property, as Ms. Dapa prevaricated as to the sources of the amounts she reported stolen from the residence, the amounts discovered by the OSP in her residence, and the volume of transaction in her bank accounts and investment. Third, the freezing order was not based on public sentiment. Rather, it was based on court processes filed in a criminal matter before the Circuit Court, Accra, involving Ms. Dapa as the complainant. Further, the freezing order was effected to aid the investigation as required by law and not on the basis of the investigation as indicated in the court. Therefore, it cannot be said that the OSP did not carry out proper investigations to warrant the freezing order. The investigation has only commenced and it is ongoing. And the final paragraph, the OSP states that it is assuring the public that it will take all necessary legal steps to ensure that the seized amounts and the balances in Ms. Dapa's bank accounts and investment are neither concealed, lost, or otherwise dissipated. And so this is the statement released by the OSP.
And we still don't have the amounts even in that particular statement there. Well, Richard Kujunyako, thank you so much. So we've been hearing from the OSP fighting off claims that they only acted based on mere speculations and then also based on public sentiments there. This is an issue that you're still following up on for you. There's more if you log on to myjoyonline.com. Now, let's get back to our earlier story from the ad hoc committee in Parliament today. So we are learning that at the end of it, the committee is considering offering an in-camera hearing for more revelations from COP George Alexander Mensah. Well, my colleague Samuel Imbura has been monitoring events for us today. Amongst others, if you missed it, we know that the man at the center of the alleged plot to remove IGP Kofi Dampare, he's confirmed that his voice is in that leak tape. Amongst others, also, he insists that it looks like the tape is edited, in his words. For him also, he says that there are concerns about mismanagement of the police and the IGP Kofi Dampare, and he charged the committee to conduct their own investigation. Issues about his involvement with the NPP also came up, and issues about election in Ghana being involved some form of mafia tactics, it came up in the committee hearing today. But let's hear him take on the IGP and then also insisting that the words that he spoke about the IGP's mismanagement of the police, he stands by them.
Honourable Chair, I will not deny that fact today, tomorrow, or the next day. I will make that statement again, that the current Inspector General of Police is not managing the police service well. It's something I will not run away from. I will say it everywhere, anywhere that I go. And you can do your own investigations, call police officers underground, and find out from them.
Commissioner, calm down. Calm down. Can you assist this committee? You see, within the context of your statement, it had to
was and is that as we speak, majority of police officers are not happy. And if these same people are those who are going to police the elections, and remember, police officers, they vote, their wives vote, their children vote, their mothers and fathers vote. That is my concern.
Well, let's also listen to the part about whether he's an NPP sympathizer, and there were issues that were raised about whether he's an NPP member. Listen to the response.
As was captured in the audio, media, I have been NPP member since long time, before I even joined the service. And now we need, because if you don't break the 8, that's my only objective. Anybody I meet, I tell them, we need this man. He can't help. You became an NPP member since you have been an NPP member long time before you joined the service. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, my family has been with the UP tradition ever since I was born. And it remained there till now.
So as you speak, are you a card-bearing member of the NPP?
Mr. Chairman.
I think you've answered it in a way that you are not a card member. No.
problems for this family.
Okay, let's. It's leading into temptation now. No, it's a bad. What is the meaning of this?
Chairman, with the greatest of respect,
yes.
I don't think this question ought to be admitted.
I was just going to tell him. I was going to tell him that this is not fair.
It's very dangerous for the force.
Cancel.
Very dangerous.
Well, so that's how it ended. Well, there were portions that he admits that he's a sympathizer of the NPP, amongst others. But my colleague, Samuel Imbura, joins us live on the line now. He's been monitoring events at that ad hoc committee. So at the end of it all, Samuel Imbura, we know that there was a request for an in-camera hearing to review more information about happenings in the police service. Has that been granted?
Well, the committee is saying that regarding the sensitive nature of it, they'll be left with no option than to do that. So tomorrow, that the sitting has been adjourned to determine whether Mr. COP Alex Mensah will be given that in-camera, approach that he's asking to reveal more in the Ghana Police Service,
which is for public consumption. Some testimonies and pieces of evidence might have national security implications, and therefore in-camera hearing is one of the ways to address a problem. So when we come to terms with that, why not? We invite him to give us in-camera testimony.
Well, so Samuel, also you got to interact with the chairman of the committee on the earlier concerns of biases raised by lawyers of COP Alexander Mensah against two committee members, that's Peter Lanchini Tobu and James Agalga. What's the chairman been telling you? Hello, Mira.
Yeah, hello, your line is breaking.
Is it much better? I'm asking about your interaction with the chairman of the committee on earlier concerns about biases raised by lawyers for COP Alexander Mensah.
Exactly. Mr. Atachia, who is the chairman of the committee, has indicated that they will give them the opportunity to adduce evidence. You know, the allegations were against Mr. Tobu and then James Agaga. They made comments on several occasions, different occasions, according to the lawyers of Mr. COP Alex Mensah, in which they think that it will influence their report on or about their clients. So the committee says that if they have the evidence, they can bring them forth, and that's what Mr. Atachia is saying.
We will not stop them from tendering evidence which should aid what we are doing. Guess what? Even the members of the committee are not enemies of the witnesses at all, or the people involved. And therefore, if you start doing what they call evidence gagging, then your bias ab initio. That is why I said anything of consequence that they will need to aid what they are doing, they should give it to them freely. And they are about to do that. In the same token, if there's anything which is exculpatory of them and they have, the committee should look at it. And if there's plain bias about certain things, I've said one thing which is very important. I would not be the person trying to get biased members of the committee to mess them up. So I don't have the lenses of bias. But if they believe that the committee is not properly constituted, then it's above me, because I'm not the one who constitutes the committee, the speaker.
So that's the chairman of the ad hoc committee, Samuel Atachia there. And earlier, the lawyers for COP Alexander Mensah raised concerns about some comments that had been made by Peter Lanchini Tobu and, of course, the vice chairman of the committee, James Agauga. But let's take a look at the identity of these officers that have been mentioned. So we've been talking about COP Alexander Mensah. Earlier, also Superintendent Eric Emmanuel Jebi. He was also mentioned by Bugui Nabu as being part of that tape, and then also Superintendent George Asare. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba on the security desk joins me in studio. So let's talk about these police chiefs, but first let's start with Superintendent George Asare. What do we know?
Well, not much. We do not know much about Superintendent George Asare, but currently he's at the protocol unit of the Ghana Police Service headquarters. He was formerly the East Legon Police Commander. Now, in 2019, he appeared before the ISO West Wagon Commission of Inquiry as a witness. Yes, because then he was the East Legon Police Commander. So when the issue came up, he had to come and testify at the commission. Now, shortly after that incident, it was speculated that he had been transferred to the Atadeka district under the Shaman Divisional Command. So not much about him, but the main person we've been hearing from today,
Alexander Mensah.
Yes.
Let's talk about Superintendent Eric Emmanuel Jebi.
Superintendent Emmanuel Jebi, also not much we know about him, but he's the Director of Criminal Investigations and Digital Protection at the Forensic Unit of the Department of at the Forensic Unit at the Ghana Police Service. Also not much information out there. But
now COP Alexander Mensah.
Yes. We have a lot of information about him. Now, he has served in the Ghana Police Service for 31 years, but now on a long leave pending retirement in September. His last role before retirement will be Director General Technical of the Ghana Police Service. Many know COP George Alex Mensah, whose voice we've been hearing this evening a lot, as a man who likes to talk tough. Now, we saw a bit of that during today's hearing. In September 2017, you interviewed him during a familiarization visit to the offices of the Multimedia Group Limited. He had just been appointed as the Greater Accra Regional Commander. And he told you he will not be compromised in his objective to clamp down on armed robbers and landguards in the region. He says he's too hot to be in anyone's pocket. I think you were asking him if he's not going to be
in the pockets of the politicians.
In the pockets of the politicians. And he said that if you put him in your breast pocket, you're going to get breast cancer. If you put him in your back pocket, you can sit.
Let's listen.
I'm too hot to be in anybody's pocket. If you put me in your breast pocket, you might have breast cancer. You put me in your back pocket, you might not be able to sit down. G.A. Mensah is not bribable.
Okay, so that's what he told me.
In September 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is not the first time he's also appearing before a public inquiry. Now, in 2019, he also appeared before the Iowa West Wagon Violence Commission of Inquiry. He was then the Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service, so he appeared as a witness. But there was a big difference between what we saw then in 2019 when he appeared before the Commission of Inquiry and what we saw today, at the ad hoc committee hearing. Today's COP George Alice Mensah made comments suggesting that he's a sympathizer of the NPP. But we are also learning from interrogations at the committee hearing that he was an ADC to Vice President of Ghana from 1993 to 1997, called Nkansah. Now, one of the committee members wondered how someone who said he was an NPP sympathizer even before he became a policeman was an ADC to an NDC vice president, and he provided some answers to that. Now, before the appointment of IGP Dampare, it was speculated that he was in line to also become IGP. In fact, he confirmed that the former Northern Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bugri Nabu, requested for his CV. He said he has been lobbying for the position since 2017. From his Facebook page, which has about 11,000 followers, he's been engaged in a lot of philanthropic activities, especially in the Bekwai constituency, also engaged in a lot of social activities. We do not know whether he has any political ambitions, but if you look at the pictures and the trend, it gives you that sense.
And some of these things also came up
exactly.
in the leaked audio and then also at the committee today.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Maxwell Abagbai is my colleague on the security desk and has been digging on the backgrounds of these police chiefs who have appeared before the ad hoc committee, and the sit-ins continue tomorrow. But let's stay on matters relating to security, this time in the Eastern region, and the Regional Security Council there has banned the open display and use of firearms in Nsawam Aduejiri after last Tuesday chieftaincy clashes that claimed, we're told, about 2 lives with others sustaining gunshot wounds. The incident happened when the Ochiman task force escorting a convoy of rival chiefs installed by the Echimebwakwa Traditional Council were met with sporadic shooting when they attempted to occupy the palace in Aduejiri. Member of Parliament for the area, Frank Anodompre, is accusing the police for the fallout of the chieftaincy dispute that's been simmering for the last 2 years.
We began to pick up some very strong signals that there was a potential danger. I think there was some police presence, but it wasn't enough. When I called for heavy police presence, I'm not calling for just one off, just some 24-hour or just some 1 week. We need about 2 months or so, or 2 months to 3 months heavy police presence. And the shooting incident that has occurred, it did occur in broad daylight.
So that's the MP for the area. Thankfully, we've been joined on the phone by the Eastern Regional Chairman and the Chairman of the Regional Security Council, Mr. Seth Kwame Champon. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So I know that your Security Council, you've been meeting over this particular clashes in Nsawam. Really, give us what your preliminary findings has been so far in terms of what led to these clashes and the number of lives we've lost so far.
Thank you very much, MFA. Primarily, this is a criminal activity that we'll be monitoring over a period. Like our statement spells out, every person that desires to hold a special event is mandated by law to advert same to the police service, because, mind you, we know our Ghana police civilian ratios, and so we cannot in any sense restrict the service. Hence the need for us to abide by the existing enactment. And so it is prudent that all persons intending to hold a special event should apply themselves to some of these basic legislation. However, whatever has happened has happened. It is a criminal event. We put together ourselves in a council meeting to look at what happened in theater and look how best we can address it, and then going forward, how best we can help redress whatever untoward has happened. Like we said in our statement, a full-scale investigation is spelled out in there because we were picking information, some may call it intelligence, as to certain happenings. We fell on the persons that had been identified. They denied the information until we heard these things that occurred. And so all of them are within our immediate findings of investigations that we are pushing forth.
Okay, well, but clearly, though, how many lives, unfortunately, were lost here and the number of injuries?
We have 2 deaths and 5 injured persons. The 5 injured persons have been brought to our Kofi Regional Hospital, and they are here in our regional hospital.
And this full-scale probe, do we have timelines as to when exactly you're expecting the results or the findings to be brought to the Security Council?
Typically, investigations take a while, but in this instance, preliminary, we've asked the police service to give us some results within the next week, so we know what prima facie evidence will be before us going forward, because it's a matter that we've been following not now. We've been following this for close to 6 months now. And so we were always monitoring until these things occurred. We had already taken some actions using the law courts earlier to ban all activities. And so when we heard of these things, we hurriedly got on ground. But as we speak, there are more men on ground to protect the community.
We've been hearing from the MP for the area. I'm sure this has been brought to your attention as well, accusing the police for the fallout of this particular dispute. For him, they acted unprofessionally. I'm sure this has come up. In the interim, how are we dealing with it whilst the full-scale probe is also launched?
In the exigency of such matters, you may hear some of these comments. I sometimes listen to everybody speak, but that is why investigations is necessary. Investigations will give us truthfully the facts as they are and the occurrences as they happened, and then we'll be able to make progress. So it's early day for me to lay blame on any other person. I just want to make sure that I get the right investigations from the outset, because believe it or not, they are the mandated law enforcement agencies to give us the necessary information we need. So I wouldn't want to do anything untoward.
I'd leave you to get some water. Thank you so much for your time. That's the Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Kwame Champong, there, giving us the updates on the Insal Madridri chieftaincy clashes that has led to the loss of 2 lives and 3 deaths, where there was a situation also in Hohoi in the Volta region. And we've been hearing from the MP for the area, John Peter Meu, accusing the police also of vandalism of property and assault of residents following these clashes in the municipality. Well, 2 persons were yesterday shot in that violent clash between the police patrol team and aggrieved youth of the area. Well, the MP says the police must be called to order, but thankfully the MC for Hohoi, Daniel Noble Awuma, joins us on the phone. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Awuma. So we know that the Municipal Security Council, they've also been meeting on this Hohoi incident. What have you found?
Thank you, MFI, and then our cherished listeners and my constituents, Hohoi municipality. Yes, we've also been meeting today after the incident of yesterday to take into account the varied reports. And as myself, I was on ground yesterday seeing things for myself. In fact, it came to light that unfortunately my officers did not act professionally, and as a result, there were some amount of indiscipline displayed by my officers on the citizens of Bingodenu, by extension their properties ranging from vehicles, motorbikes, houses, shops, you name it.
And we are told that some 2 persons were also shot, and the numbers remain at 2, or from your findings, there's more?
Yes, we lost 2 young men. The accident victim, as we speak, is receiving treatment at the Volta Regional Teaching Hospital.
And more of the blame was put at the doorstep of the police, from what we are hearing from the MPs and eyewitnesses as well. Is there a particular action that's been taken? What exactly has happened to that?
Well, it's sad to say, because unfortunately, what the police were telling us yesterday looks as if they were reacting to report of their vehicle being burnt by some youth from the community. But to my mind, a life is more precious than a vehicle. So for policemen to decide to unleash terror on the very people they are supposed to be protecting and safeguarding to that extent, I would think that it is very, very unfortunate that for want of a better word. And to me, this has called for some level of scrutiny and some level of private investigation that we are considering. As NUSEC, we have already tried to put the blame squarely at the doorstep of the police.
And will there be a particular action that will be taken against the officers?
That will be done. Fortunately, my MP was also with me today, and so I took him around to see the scene for himself as well. And so we are putting few touches together, and tomorrow we'll get in touch with some of the stakeholders and we'll take a firm platform going forward.
And finally, Mr. Ume, before I let you off, we're told also, at least we heard from the MP, that some teachers are of the view that going to the classrooms to teach is not safe at this point. Have we been able to resolve that for schools to be open?
Yes, I've directed that schools be open tomorrow. I just closed a meeting with the Municipal Director of Education and taking the bits and pieces together, it is more than safe for them to resume learning. And so we have agreed that Monday as learning will be in full swing.
Okay. Mr. Aume Akpe, thank you. And that's Daniel Noble Aume is the MC for Hohoi. It's time for business. George, we are Faye. Where's
the low?
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Leave it there.
Okay. Well, coming up in business, government set September 4 as the settlement date for all investors that participated in the second round of the domestic debt exchange bond. And the cylinder recirculation model is set to take off from tomorrow as the National Petroleum Authority review directive on use of Ghana card as the only form of identification for the registration. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntax Tangs, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal.
It's the best season of the year, just in some points. Momo pay or you say Momo app. Send with ease and win big. You be merchant or you be Momo user. Momo season Abanti, send the Vivia. Send the Vivia. Momo season Abanti, send the Vivia.
From now till the end of September, earn points when you download the Momo app and make Momo Pay transactions to a merchant via either the QR code or merchant ID and stand the chance of winning 1,000 Ghana cedis weekly and other amazing prizes. Our merchants are not left out. Receive payment and win. There are lots and lots of exciting prizes to be won. So download the Momo app, transact with Momo Pay and get rewarded this Momo season. TNCs apply.
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
No matter your water needs,
Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough.
I'm afraid. Media Sambisanda Moa. It's your Ratiano, Moo, Panet, Mufina, put on Pemo Maniacono. Eh, Quabna. No Moo wants me to be just my Mariana there. Eh, and the crow. Corporate Miri number don't be so you so excellent ever. I didn't buy the Braille. Who see it in a mobile, some man I want it. Sir, I need now could you soon use so excellent Chaco. Then dear, a mouse, when you're credit fit of that. Now what you are sleeping, your mother feel you. Kojo, sir. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. A failure. You're gonna natural.
FDIJ Jadion Katuyatu.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government has set September 4 as the settlement date for investors that participated in the second round of the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. This was captured in a notice issued by the Ministry of Finance, giving details about the offer. There is more in this report.
Date is the time that government is looking at issuing new certificates for all those bondholders that participated in the offer. Government is originally looking at September 4, but has revised it to next Monday. This will also form the basis of what some might call the legal document that most of these investors can hold government when it comes to payment of interest and maturity of these papers. According to government, payment will be done as soon as settlement is concluded for these bondholders. It's added that these payments will be made as if such exchange bonds had been issued on February 21, 2023 and held by the tendering eligible holders as of 22nd August 2023. The Finance Ministry in the results noted that approximately 92% of the domestic dollar bondholders participated in the second round of the debt exchange program. It was seeking to restructure about $809 million worth of bonds. On the pension fund, the Finance Ministry pegged participation at almost 95%, with about 31 billion Ghana cedis worth of bonds to be restructured.
And that is the Business Desk report. Meanwhile, government says it can now be said that the domestic debt exchange program has been concluded. Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is the Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance and has been explaining to Joy Business what this will mean for the economy, especially when it comes to Ghana's ratings.
Yes, we're expecting the rating agencies to come out soon. We don't want to preempt what they will do because they have independence in their rating operations. But we expect that once the confidence of the market in our government is enhanced, the credibility of our government towards meeting our obligations to bondholders and to other creditors, they should respond.
Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. The match talked about cylinder recirculation model is set to take off from tomorrow, September 1, 2023. This was after the National Petroleum Authority embarked on industry engagement after some initial opposition to the program. There's details in this report.
The initiative seeks to centralize the distribution and sales of LPG in the country for domestic use. It will allow consumers to exchange empty cylinder for a filled one at a specific location. The model will be rolled out first in the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions before it is extended to other parts of the country. Joy Business understands that the National Petroleum Authority has reviewed an earlier directive that permits only the Ghana card to be used as a form of identification for the program. It will now accept other forms of national identification. The authority also reviewed that there will be a 3-year transition period for the module. This should mean that the first 3 years of the program will be used to address all the challenges about the initiative before it fully takes off.
And that is a business tech report. Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, has indicated that the Commission is hoping to make full cost recovery by next quarter of this year. According to him, some of the utility arrears which have been cleared in order for this to be possible is being worked out to ensure that this is done. He spoke on PM Express.
So hopefully by the next quarter we should pay for. So I say it's not cost recovery because there's some arrears of about, let's say, 250 million cedis we did not cater for as an arrears. But for the quarter, if you take this quarter, what we've given them is the full cost for the quarter. But there's an arrears that has to be paid. If we get to next quarter, we hope that we clear that arrears and we still do the adjustment for that quarter. So by that time, 1st December, we should be current with both the quarter and the arrears. It's actually they are experiencing full cost recovery but with some arrears.
And Dr. Ishmael Aka is the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. And MFA, let's talk about pensions tonight on PM Express as you engage the Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. What is the authority itself doing to ensure that when you retire, MFA, all the benefits that they've promised you're going to get it? And what about the recent restructuring of these pension funds? And what is the authority doing? Also, the argument about whether the time has come to review the pension age from the current 60. And what about your contributions as well? Should they be increased to deal with the current challenges when it comes to the sustainability of the scheme? And it's at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel, on Multi TV, and also on all our social media platforms as we engage the Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Hereford Kofi, on all these issues about pension.
Thank you very much, George. We look forward to that discussion this evening at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Let's take some of your messages that you've sent in. We have this one, says the national security, I'm scrolling all the way down, and it says the national security must deploy more security in Hohoi municipality immediately. Sena Hateka from Agomu Poplote sent that one in. And Major One in Kumasi says, okay, so he's talking about the moral right of Lanchini Tobu to be on the parliamentary committee. Here's a man who was doing active NDC party politics while he was in uniform, really. Okay, so that's a Major One Kumasi. I'm unable to verify the claims that you're making. Well, Kofi Seidu in Konongo says, is COP Alex Mensah telling Ghanaians that Dr. George Akufudampare can only be seen to be managing the police service well if he allows the NPP to break the 8. Alex Mensah deserves severe punishment. That's Kofi Seidu's message sent in. And Walanyo in Akwetia says, the IGP alleged leak tape is nothing to fear. Let us throw it into the dustbin and think about how to sustain the livelihood of the Ghanaian. Walanyo, your message duly received. Musa Abatwa in Aswase says, from the revelations by COP Alexander Mensah, it suggests that the perception that some police officers are doing the bidding of political parties is true. The issue of IGP is not managing the police well is false and out of sheer bitterness. You add the hashtag Newsnight. And some more of your messages, more and more of them. Maybe let's take this one from Sami in Kumasi. Says COP George Mensah was not willing to speak to the real issue at stake. If he had not appeared before the committee hearing, would he have come out to accuse the IGP of mismanaging the police service? That's your key question. And Olanyo, I've already taken your message. It's sent in already. And this one also says, that's from Nana Spintex Road. I'm sure the current IGP is doing a good job, but you know most of our civil servants are set in their ways, so much so that they resent change. These guys in the tape must be treated in the same way as the so-called coup plotters. Also, most of them look at politicians to continue being imposed, whether good or bad, at their jobs. Nana Spintex Road. Many more of your messages would take them subsequently. Let me bring in Musbao, has the latest from the world of sports. Hello.
Hello, MFO. Well, let's do some women's football now, and Ghana's Ampem Dakwa, they've triumphed in the WAFU Zone B qualifiers, securing both the regional title and a coveted spot in Women's Champions League, CAF Women's Champions League slated for next month. Well, the team defeated Delta Queens in a 1-0 in 1-0 in the final game of the WAFU B Zone B qualifiers in Benin earlier today. Now, this comes after they narrowly missed out on qualifying for the Women's Champions League after finishing as runners-up in the qualifiers last year, having lost to Nigeria's Bayelsa Queens. Now, they become the second Ghanaian club to end qualification for the tournament after Hazaka's Ladies achieved the same feat in the inaugural edition in 2021. Now, the tournament itself will be played in Ivory Coast, and it will start on September 5th to the starts on the 5th of November, rather, not September, to the 19th of November 2023. Now, of course, maybe this will also interest you, MFA. Black Stars forward Abdul Fattah Isahaku. He is now in England and we're playing for Leicester City on a season-long loan from Portuguese side Sporting CP. Now, Isahaku will link up with Enzo Maresca's squad for the 2023-24 Sky Bet Championship season, where Leicester will be aiming to quickly return to the English Premier League. Well, after switching from Sporting to England, Fattah Isahaku said joining the club this season was his best moment.
I'm so happy, and this is an amazing moment for me, and I think I'm happy to be here. For me, from the look of Leicester and how I talked with the coach, I think here was the best for me. I chose Leicester because I think they can grow me well, and I get more mature than, yeah. Actually, he told me about the plans he got for me and how he wanted me to play, and so I think that was the best for me, so that's why I chose here.
Yeah, so that's Abdul Fattah Isahaku there playing in England, in England in the second division of the English football there for Leicester City. Well, Champions League football is back and the draw was held today, and very interesting draw. Let me just take you through them. MFA in Group A, Bayern Munich is in there with Manchester United, and lots of Manchester United fans they're not so happy about it because Bayern Munich always seem to bring some fear, chills, down the spines of many, but well, we'll see if they're
really ready.
So they're in the same group with Copenhagen and Galatasaray. In Group B, that's where two Ghanaian players will be squaring off, and Sevilla is in there, and Thomas Partey's Arsenal is in there. PSV is also in there, and Abdul Salih Samet's RC Lens are also in there. In Group B, then Group C, Napoli, Real Madrid, Braga, and Union Berlin. Then in Group D, we have Benfica, we have Inter Milan, we have Salzburg, and we have Real Sociedad. Group E, we have Feyenoord, we have Atletico Madrid, we have Lazio and Celtic. Then Group F, that's what everybody's describing as the group of death. Hear this. Paris Saint-Germain is in there, Dortmund is in there, AC Milan is in there, and newcomers, Newcastle, are also in there. Very, very, very tough group there. In Group G, Manchester City alongside RB Leipzig, Red Star Belgrade, and Young Boys. In Group H, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, Royal Antwerp. And if you go to Group Z, that's where you find Chelsea and Liverpool and the others. They are nowhere close in there. So they will find your own group in some other time.
The man behind you is about to give you a knock.
I was a Chelsea fan, so yeah, we'll see how it works out. Anyway, so that's it for sports and Champions League.
Bill, all the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to start in 2 weeks from now. And of course, live commentary will be here on Joy. So look forward to that. Well, tomorrow we'll be having the countdown, the transfer countdown. The European transfer window will be closing tomorrow. And we'll be having a live show on Joy News from 8 to 8:30 to 10:30. So look forward to that.
Okay.
Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco, because Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Thank you very much, Musbal. You keep on keeping that smile on. Well, let's get an update from the New Patriotic Party. And most of you are wondering whether Saturday's Super Delegates Congress and that tiebreaker between Boakye Ejiakor and Adanimo is going to come off. Well, we've heard from Boakye Ejiakor issue a statement early hours of this morning raising concerns about the decision by the party to only allow the National Council to participate in this election. Also, for that, he's actually withdrawn from the race, citing unconstitutional matters and legal breaches. But let's bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. We know there's a development on this particular situation. So what exactly has been the decision of the Elections Committee regarding Saturday, Mr. Haruna Mohammed?
We have received the information regarding Bwajian Daku's decision to stay away from a very legal process. In his own opinion, he says it's unconstitutional, which the party disagree. And we duly refer this matter to the Elections Committee. The Elections Committee will decide the way forward. Once it's not contesting, I think there wouldn't be any election. So this matter will be determined by the Elections Committee of the party, whether there will be elections or no elections.
So just as I speak to you, I've just cited a statement from the Election Committee. Is signed by the Chairman, Presidential Elections Committee, Right Honourable Professor Mike Aaron Okwe, and he's talking about taking notice of the decision of Bwachi Jaku to withdraw from the contest, and therefore the runoff election scheduled for Saturday, September 2, will no longer be held. I'm sure this is yet to be communicated.
Exactly. So once he has withdrawn from the race, the election committee seizes the power to communicate whether there will be elections or not. And as they issued the formal communications from Right Honorable Right Reverend Professor Mike Okwe, the decision goes that there would not be elections on Saturday.
Good to hear. Thank you so much, Haruna Mohammed. There is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. That huge sigh of relief. There'll be no superdelegates election on Saturday. So the final five now will be Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. We also have Ken Ohene Jepong, Alan, John Kujuchi Manting, and Owusuefi Yakuto, and then Francis Adai Nimo. Let me take you to Gabon now. In the United Nations, African Union, and ECOWAS have all expressed serious concerns about the military takeover in Gabon, calling for a return to constitutional rule. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reiterated a stronger position to the seizure of power. His comments come on the back of Wednesday's overthrow of Gabon's President Ali Bongo, just 1 month after a similar military takeover in Niger. And we're still talking about that situation. Well, spokesperson of the UN Secretary General Stéphane Dujarric is urging the Gabon military to ensure rule of law and human rights are respected.
The Secretary General is following closely the evolving situation in Gabon. He notes with deep concern the announcement of the election results amid reports of serious infringements of fundamental freedoms. He firmly condemns the ongoing coup attempt as a means to resolve the post-electoral crisis. The Secretary General reaffirms his strong opposition to military coups. The Secretary General calls on all actors involved to exercise restraint, engage in an inclusive and meaningful dialogue, and ensure that the rule of law and human rights are fully respected. He also calls on the National Army and security forces to guarantee the physical integrity of the President of the Republic and his family. The United Nations stands by the people of Gabon.
Well, Maxwell Ogugba, really, he's been following this situation. He joins me in studio. First, let's talk about the AU's condemnation. You have a copy of their statement.
Yes, MFA. So the chairperson of the AU Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, says he is following with great concern the situation in Gabon and strongly condemns the coup attempt in the country. He's calling on the National Army and the security forces to stick strictly to their duty to guarantee the physical integrity of the President of the Republic, the members of his family, as well as those of his government. He's encouraging all political, civilian, and military players in Gabon to choose peaceful political paths leading to the rapid return to democratic constitutional order in the country. Okay. And then we also have a statement from the ECOWAS chairman, who is expressing concern, although this did not happen, in West Africa, but he's speaking lessons from what happened in Niger and what is happening in Gabon as well. He said the Nigerian president is watching development unfolding in Gabon very closely and with deep concern for the country's socio-political stability and the seeming autocratic wind appearing to spread to other parts of the African continent. He says power belongs in the hands of Africa's great people, hole and not in the barrel of a loaded gun.
Okay.
The Nigerian president and chairman of ECOWAS says he will continue to communicate with other heads of state within the African Union and beyond toward a comprehensive consensus on the next steps forward.
So following the wave of coups we recorded in Africa, we know that there's been some shake-up in the military of Rwanda and Cameroon as well.
Yes. So a Wednesday statement from the Rwandan Defense Forces said President Paul Kagame has retired 83 military personnel, including 12 generals. Kagame also approved the promotion and appointment of some officers to replace them immediately, and this move actually takes immediate effect. The president, who has been in power since 2000, is one of the continent's longest serving leaders, and similar thing happened in Cameroon, where the president is serving a seventh term in office after rising to power in 1982. There was also a shake-up in the military there.
Okay, thank you very much, Maxwell. Well, we can hear from Dr. Ernest Dujemfi, as chairman of the National Peace Council, warning of major problems if the issues that give rise to military takeovers in Africa are not addressed.
We are concerned about the peace of this country, especially looking at what's happening within the sub-region. It's a matter of concern to us to continue to maintain the peace that we enjoy in this country. So the Peace Council is really conscious of what's happening in our sub-region, and we're doing the best we can to maintain the peace that we have in this country.
How concerned should Ghana be about this sort of thing making its way into our borders?
We have been talking about these things to those in authority to critically look at them. It's got to do with youth unemployment. It's a major issue within the sub-region, because if we don't tackle it, we are likely to have major problems on our hands going forward.
And that's it for tonight's edition of News Night on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We've been on X Spaces on Facebook, myjoyonline.com. You can log on for more stories there. We have personality profile for Thursday coming up next with Lexis Bill. Kofi, Ofosu, Nkansah, CEO, National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NEIP, is our guest. Please stay.